Okay, so let's start off with an example of small talk about the weather. And so for these examples, I'll try to play the parts of two different people having a conversation or dialogue, talking back and forth, by sort of moving this way and this way. So you'll be able to tell, this is person one talking to that person. This is person two speaking back. So you get a sense of how the conversation works between two people. So the first example, weather. Weather is a great thing to talk about if you want to start a medium conversation or make small talk. It's a very popular conversation starter. For example, someone might say, "Today is so nice and sunny." Remember, this is how you feel about the weather. Those three things you can say about topics that I just went over. So again, today is so nice and sunny. Yeah, but I prefer the winter, to be honest. So you see how the person you're talking to responded with how they feel about the topic. Oh, really? How come? So now you're asking for details in a very gentle, simple way. So you want them to be more specific. Why do you like the winter more than the summer? I like the snow and I like to ski. I like to do these activities with my family during the winter. So now the person has responded by giving you details, and this is a great opportunity to continue the conversation by talking about or asking about skiing or asking about the person's family. Skiing is a very, very popular recreational activity, something fun to do here in Canada because we get a lot of snow. So that's just a very short introduction to small talk or medium length conversation that began with the weather. So you see how you took something very simple, not serious, it's sunny outside, I love the sun, and it turned into a longer conversation where you got to know something about the other person. That they enjoy the winter because they like to ski, and they like to do this kind of thing with their family. So there's all kinds of possibilities now to continue the conversation. So let's go to number two, talking about movies. So another example of how to start a medium-length conversation on a topic that's very general and common to most people. Let's say you're at the movie theater, and there's a family next to you waiting in line to buy tickets. Tickets are the things you use to get into the movie. It's a very long line, so remember, earlier we said, why do you make small talk? To pass the time. So instead of being bored and just waiting in line and not having anything to do, you could strike up a conversation. Remember from one of our previous lessons, strike up a conversation is a casual or kind of slang way of saying to start a conversation. You could maybe say the following. My kids are so excited to watch The Incredibles 2. Yeah, my kids are pretty excited as well. So in this instance, you obviously both would have to have kids. So the context is you're there with your family and you have kids, and they're there with their family and they have kids. And remember, from earlier in this lesson, we talked about making a comment about the situation or the circumstance where you have something in common with the other person. And maybe the other person continues this conversation by asking, how did they like the first movie? So this conversation is about a popular movie, The Incredibles 2, meaning there was a first Incredibles. So this person wants to continue the conversation with you by asking how your children liked the first movie. So they assume that you've seen the first movie because you're going to see the second movie. So remember, this is all context, things that you have in common. This is the kind of thing you have to pay attention to when you're making small talk. And maybe you respond by saying, they thought it was awesome. It's really crazy how good 3D animation is these days. So you see how we're getting a little bit more detailed, talking about the animation style of the movie and how interesting it is, how crazy or wild it is. So we're getting into specifics about the topic, which is a great way to continue a medium-length conversation and maybe take it from small talk to something more serious where you get to actually know more about the other person.